Hello, this is Emma. I'm going to read you the autumn narrative today, which goes by this title. My belongings were in trash bags on the grass when I got home from the hospital. I was greeted at the door by my family. "You're too expensive for us. Get out," they said. I took off in my car. In a panic, Mom called 6 months later. Her words were, "We need your help," I grinned. "Well, let's go." Hello everyone, I'm 32 and my name is Autumn. I conduct site inspections for this construction company. I've been monitoring several projects to make sure everything is up to code for the past 6 or so years. Lately, my life has been somewhat routine. Wake up, work, come home to my parents' place where I've been staying while my house gets renovated. My house has been a disaster zone for 2 months now. Major renovations, the whole 9 yards. When I asked my parents if I could crash at their place temporarily, they said yes, but with conditions. I had to pay all the utilities, buy groceries, basically cover everything. Whatever, I agreed. I even got them this fancy internet package since I need it for work. It cost me an extra $150 a month. But hey, family, right? My sister Lisa is 35, married to this guy Tom, and they have a 5-year-old kid named Jake. Lisa works part-time at some marketing firm, always complaining about how tired she is. Tom's in sales, makes decent money, I guess. Every weekend when Lisa and Tom want to go out or visit family, guess who gets stuck babysitting? Yeah, me. Don't get me wrong, Jake's a sweet kid, but it's like I became the permanent free babysitter the moment I moved back in with my parents. Mom and Dad are both in their 60s. Dad's retired from the post office, spends most of his time watching TV or tinkering in the garage. Mom worked as a secretary for years before retiring. They're comfortable, not rich, but not struggling either. Still, when I moved in, suddenly I was paying for everything. It felt like I was a tenant, not their daughter. That Tuesday started like any other day. I grabbed coffee, checked my emails, and headed out to inspect this new office building downtown. The site manager was supposed to meet me there at 10 o'clock. Traffic was lighter than usual, which should have been a good sign. I was actually running early for once. I remember thinking about my house while driving. The contractor had sent me photos the day before showing the new kitchen counters. They looked amazing. I was already planning where I'd put my stuff when I moved back in. Maybe throw a little housewarming party, invite some friends over. It had been so long since I'd had my own place to myself. The radio was playing some old song from the 90s, and I was humming along, tapping my fingers on the steering wheel. The intersection ahead had a green light. I pressed the gas pedal a little harder, trying to make it through before it changed. That's when everything went black. I don't remember the impact. I don't remember the sound of metal crushing metal or glass shattering. I don't remember the other driver or whether they ran the red light. 1 second, I was humming to the radio. The next second, there was nothing. When I woke up, everything was white and smelled like disinfectant. My head felt like it was stuffed with cotton, and there was this constant beeping sound nearby. It took me a few seconds to realize I was in a hospital bed. My left side felt weird, numb, but also painful at the same time. There were tubes and wires attached to me. A nurse noticed I was awake and called for the doctor. This older guy with gray hair came in, checking my chart and looking at me with a serious expression. "Miss Patterson, I'm Dr. Williams. You were in a car accident 3 days ago. Do you remember anything?" 3 days? It felt like I just closed my eyes a minute ago. "Not really," I said. My voice sounded hoarse and strange. "What happened to me?" "You have several injuries. We've already performed 2 surgeries, one on your spleen and another to repair some internal bleeding. Your left arm has a compound fracture that we've set, and you have 3 cracked ribs. We'll need to do 1 more surgery on your arm in a few days, but overall, you're lucky. The paramedics got to you quickly." Lucky. That was a funny way to put it. "Have you called my family? Has anyone visited?" Dr. Williams looked at his notes. "We called the emergency contact number on your phone." "Your mother?" She seemed, well, she was more concerned about some weekend plans being disrupted. She said something about having to find alternative arrangements because of your accident. My stomach dropped, even in my foggy state. That sounded exactly like something my mother would say. "Has anyone else called or visited?" "Your workplace called several times to check on your condition. Very concerned colleagues, but no family members have visited yet." I asked for my phone and the nurse brought it over. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. I scrolled through my messages, my heart sinking with each swipe. From Mom, *Autumn, because of your accident, our weekend plans are ruined. We were supposed to visit Aunt Marie this weekend, and you were going to watch Jake. Now Lisa has to find a babysitter. This is really inconvenient. From Lisa, thanks a lot for being such a terrible sister. Now I have to pay some stranger to watch my kid because you couldn't be more careful driving. You've really screwed us over this time. I stared at these messages for a long time. Not one word about how I was feeling. Not one question about my injuries or whether I was okay. Just complaints about how my accident inconvenienced them. I opened our family group chat, the one where we usually talked about boring stuff like who's bringing what to dinner or reminders about birthdays. There were 12 new messages, all from the last 3 days. Mom, well, Autumn's really done it this time. Dad, what are we supposed to do about Jake now? Lisa, I can't believe she didn't think about how this would affect all of us. Tom, maybe she should have been more careful. Mom, we'll have to cancel the trip or pay for a babysitter. Either way, it's going to cost us. Lisa, she's always been selfish, but this takes the cake. I read through all of them twice. Not one person asked how I was doing. Not one person said they hoped I'd recover quickly. They were all just pissed off that my near-death experience had messed up their weekend plans. I started typing a message, I'm alive, in case anyone was wondering, but then I deleted it. If they didn't care enough to ask, I wasn't going to tell them. Lying in that hospital bed, staring at those awful messages, I started remembering all the other times my family had treated me like garbage. It's funny how when you're stuck somewhere with nothing but time, your brain starts connecting all these dots you'd been ignoring. Like last Christmas, I'd saved up for months to buy everyone really nice gifts. Got Dad this expensive tool set he'd been wanting. Mom, jewelry she'd been eyeing at the mall. Lisa, a spa day package. And Jake, this awesome remote control car. When it came time to open presents, they gave me a generic gift card to Target. $25. Lisa got a weekend getaway from Mom and Dad. The spa day I bought her? She complained it wasn't at the fancy place she preferred. Then there was the time I got promoted at work. I was so excited. Called everyone to share the news. Mom's response? That's nice, honey. Can you help Lisa with her mortgage payment this month? She's behind again. Not congratulations. Not we're proud of you. Just immediately asking for money to help my sister who couldn't manage her finances. Speaking of money, that was always the pattern. When Lisa's car broke down, guess who they asked to help with repairs? When Dad needed dental work, guess who got the call? But when I needed help moving into my place 3 years ago, they were all suddenly too busy. I hired movers and did it myself. The worst part was how they made me feel guilty about everything. When I couldn't babysit Jake because I had work commitments, Lisa would go on these rants about how I didn't care about family. When I said I couldn't lend them money because I was saving for my house renovations, Mom would get all quiet and hurt, like I was being selfish. But now, lying here with broken ribs and a shattered arm, reading their messages about how my accident inconvenienced them, it was like seeing everything clearly for the first time. A week went by in that hospital. My coworkers came to visit. Sarah from accounting brought me magazines. Mike from the engineering department brought flowers. Even my boss stopped by to check on me and tell me not to worry about work. These people who I saw 8 hours a day cared more about my well-being than my own family. My friends came too. Jenny brought homemade cookies. Mark brought this puzzle to keep me busy. They asked how I was feeling, if I needed anything, when I'd be able to go home. Normal questions that people who care about you ask. You know how many times my parents visited? 0. Not once in 7 days did they show up at the hospital. The only message I got from Mom was on Thursday. Don't forget to transfer the money for utilities this month. The electric bill was higher than usual. I almost laughed. I'm lying in a hospital bed after major surgery, and she's worried about the electric bill. I transferred the money anyway because that's what I always did. I always took care of everything. The day before my second surgery, Dr. Williams came to explain what they needed to do. Something about pins and plates in my arm, how it would take time to heal properly. He was patient, answered all my questions, explained the risks. A complete stranger was showing me more kindness than my own family. "Do you have someone to help you when you get home?" he asked. "You'll need assistance for the first few weeks." I told him I'd figure it out. I couldn't exactly count on my family for help. Not when they were busy being mad at me for getting hit by another car. The surgery went well. When I woke up, my arm was in this big cast, and I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. But Dr. Williams said everything looked good and I could go home in a week. I called the contractor working on my house. He answered right away. "Autumn, I heard about your accident. How are you feeling?" Even my contractor cared more than my family. "I'm getting better." "How's the house coming along?" "Actually, really good news. We're ahead of schedule. Look, I'm sending you some photos right now." My phone buzzed, and I saw pictures of my renovated kitchen, the new hardwood floors in the living room, fresh paint everywhere. It looked amazing, like a real home, not just a house. "When do you think it'll be completely finished?" "End of next week, maybe sooner." "I know you're eager to get back in there. We'll have everything cleaned up and ready for you." For the first time since the accident, I felt genuinely happy. I could move straight from the hospital back to my own place. I wouldn't have to go back to my parents' house with their cold shoulders and constant demands for money. 2 days later, I was feeling pretty good. The pain medication was working, and I was getting around better. I was actually looking forward to getting out of there when the nurse came in with a weird expression on her face. "Your sister is here to see you. She seems upset about something." Before I could say anything, Lisa stormed into the room. Her face was red, and she looked like she was about to explode. "I cannot believe how selfish you are," she yelled. "I went to get my facelift today, you know, the one I've been planning for months. And they told me at the clinic that our family medical insurance has reached its limit because of all your surgeries." I stared at her. "Are you serious right now?" "Dead serious. Do you know how much that procedure costs without insurance? $12,000. I can't afford that. And it's all because you had to go and use up all our medical coverage with your accident." "Lisa, I almost died. I had internal bleeding. I needed emergency surgery." "Well, maybe you didn't need all those surgeries. Maybe you could have just gotten the most important one and dealt with the rest later. But no, you had to be dramatic and get every little thing fixed." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Get out," I shouted as loud as I could with my damaged ribs. "Fine, but I'm telling Mom how rude you're being. You owe me $12,000 for this." She stormed out, and I immediately called for the nurse. I asked them to put my parents and Lisa on the list of people who weren't allowed to visit me. I was done. That evening, my phone started ringing. Mom's number flashing on the screen over and over. I let it go to voicemail. Then she started texting. *Autumn, Lisa told me what happened. You were incredibly rude to your sister. She's devastated. How could you kick her out when she's going through a difficult time? Call me back immediately. I deleted the message without responding. I was done with their guilt trips and manipulation. My sister was devastated? I was the one with broken bones and surgical scars, but sure, she was the victim here. The next few days passed peacefully. No family drama, just focusing on getting better. Dr. Williams cleared me for discharge on Friday. I was excited, but also nervous. My left arm was still in a cast, and I couldn't lift anything heavy, but I was ready to get out of that hospital bed. I didn't call my family to pick me up. Why would I? Instead, I called Jenny, my best friend since college. Before leaving the hospital, I sent a text to the family group chat, "Getting discharged today." That was it. No asking for help. No expecting anyone to care. Jenny showed up with flowers and this huge smile. She helped me into her car, being careful with my cast. "So, what's the plan? You going straight to your parents' place?" "Just to get my stuff, then straight to my house. The renovation's done." "Wait, really? That's amazing." "Yeah, I can't wait to see it." "And Jenny, I'm never staying with my parents again. Ever." She squeezed my good hand. "Good for you." When we pulled up to my parents' house, I immediately saw something was wrong. There were black garbage bags scattered across the front lawn. Big ones, like they were putting out extra trash. "What's all that?" Jenny asked. I got out of the car and walked over to the nearest bag. It was torn open slightly, and I could see fabric inside. I pulled it open wider, and my heart sank. My clothes, my books, my personal stuff. Are you kidding me? I whispered. The front door opened, and my whole family came out. Mom, Dad, Lisa, and Tom. They stood there like some kind of judgmental committee. What is this? I asked, pointing at the bags. Why are my things in garbage bags on the lawn? Mom crossed her arms. We decided you're costing us too much. The medical insurance is maxed out because of your accident, and Lisa can't get her procedure done. We think it's best if you find somewhere else to stay. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. You're kicking me out while I'm still recovering from surgery? You've been nothing but trouble, Lisa chimed in. And rude. The way you treated me at the hospital was unacceptable. I treated you badly? You came to my hospital room and yelled at me for using medical insurance to save my life. It wasn't just about saving your life, Dad said. You could have been more conservative with the treatments. Conservative with emergency surgery to stop internal bleeding? You people are unbelievable. Mom stepped forward. We took you in when you needed help. We gave you a place to stay, and this is how you repay us? With ingratitude and selfishness. That word, ingratitude, like I hadn't been paying all their bills for months. Like I hadn't been their free babysitter every weekend. Like I hadn't been covering their groceries and utilities while recovering from major surgery. You took me in? I've been paying for everything. Your electric bill, your groceries, your fancy internet. And we provided you with a roof over your head, Mom shot back. I stood there, looking at them. My family, the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. And all I felt was this cold clarity. They didn't love me. They never had. I was just useful to them. You know what? You're right. I am ungrateful. I'm ungrateful that I survived that accident so I could see exactly who you people really are. Lisa gasped like I'd slapped her. How dare you? How dare I what? Tell the truth? You came to my hospital room and screamed at me about cosmetic surgery while I was recovering from operations that saved my life. And you? I turned to my mother. You couldn't even be bothered to visit me once. Not once in 2 weeks. We were busy, Dad mumbled. Right. Too busy to visit your daughter in the hospital, but not too busy to throw her belongings on the lawn like trash. Jenny had been quietly loading my stuff into her car. Autumn, I've got everything. Let's go. I looked at my family one more time. You know what the funny thing is? I actually thought you cared about me. All these years, I kept trying to be the good daughter, the helpful sister. I kept thinking if I just did enough, gave enough, paid for enough things, you'd actually love me. But you don't. You never did. That's not true, Mom said. But her voice sounded uncertain. It is true, and I'm done pretending it isn't. I got into Jenny's car and we drove away. In the rearview mirror, I could see them still standing there on the lawn. You okay? Jenny asked. Yeah, actually, I think I am. We drove to my house, and when I saw it, I almost cried. It was beautiful. The contractor had done an amazing job. Fresh paint, new windows, updated everything. It looked like a real home. My home. Jenny helped me get settled, made me soup, and stayed until I felt comfortable being alone. After she left, I sat in my renovated living room and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. No one demanding money. No one guilt-tripping me about babysitting. No one making me feel like I owed them something just for existing. I picked up my phone, blocked their phone numbers, and started making some calls. Time to take back control of my life. The first call I made was to the health insurance company. It felt so good to say those words. I need to remove some people from my family plan. The representative was helpful and efficient. Within 20 minutes, I'd removed Mom, Dad, and Lisa from my medical coverage. They'd get notification letters in a few days. Next, I called the utility company and canceled the automatic payments I'd been making for my parents' house. Then I called the internet provider. That fancy package I'd been paying for? Gone. The contract was in my name, so it was easy to cancel. It felt like lifting weights off my shoulders. 3 days later, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Autumn, it's Mom. Why did we get emails saying we were removed from your health insurance? Because I removed you. But why? We're family. Are we? Because when I was in the hospital fighting for my life, you were more worried about weekend plans. When I needed support, you threw my belongings on the lawn like garbage. Autumn, you're being vindictive. This isn't like you. No, Mom. This is exactly like me. I've just never stood up for myself before. You can't do this to your family. We need that insurance, your father's arthritis, my blood pressure medication. Should have thought about that before you decided I was too expensive to care about. Autumn, please. Oh, and by the way, I'm also canceling your internet service and stopping all financial help. No more grocery money, no more utility payments. You kicked me out, remember? Said I was costing too much. Well, now I'm not costing you anything. I hung up and immediately blocked the number. Over the next few weeks, I focused on recovery, physical therapy for my arm, rest, and slowly getting back to normal life. My coworkers were amazing, letting me work from home until I was fully healed. My friends checked on me regularly. 2 months later, I was cleared for full activity. My arm was completely healed, and I felt better than I had in years. I'd also received a nice settlement from my work's accident insurance. Enough for a really nice vacation. I was browsing travel websites, looking at resorts in the Bahamas, when my phone rang. Unknown number again. Autumn, it's your mother. I need your help. No. You don't even know what it is yet. I don't care what it is. The answer is no. My knee needs surgery. The doctor says it's urgent. But without the good insurance, I can't afford the private clinic. The surgery costs $50,000. I almost laughed. So pay for it yourself. I don't have $50,000. Autumn, this is about my health. Oh, now you care about health? When I was dying in the hospital, you said I was being dramatic and costing too much. You threw me out for exhausting the medical insurance. This is serious, Autumn. I could end up in a wheelchair if I don't get this surgery. Then you should have thought about that before you decided I was too expensive to keep around. You literally told me I was costing you too much. You kicked me out of the house while I was still in a cast. She started crying. Please, Autumn, I'm your mother. No, you're not. Mothers don't abandon their children when they're injured. Mothers don't prioritize their other daughter's facelift over their injured daughter's life. You're just someone who used to be related to me. You're being cruel. I'm being exactly as caring as you were when I needed help. Remember what you said? I was ungrateful and selfish. Well, consider this my gratitude. I hung up and blocked that number, too. A month later, I ran into Aunt Marie at the grocery store. She looked uncomfortable when she saw me. Autumn, how are you feeling? I heard about your accident. I'm great, thanks. Fully recovered. That's wonderful. I also heard about the situation with your parents. What situation? Your mother's surgery. She had to get it done at the county hospital instead of the private clinic. It didn't go very well. She needs another operation to fix what went wrong the first time. I felt nothing. Not guilt, not sadness, not satisfaction. Just nothing. That's unfortunate. Aunt Marie looked shocked. Autumn, she's your mother. Don't you care? She made it very clear that caring is conditional in our family. When I needed caring, I got garbage bags on the lawn and lectures about costing too much. So, no, I don't care. But family is family. Family is supposed to be there for each other. They weren't there for me when I almost died. I don't owe them anything now. I finished my shopping and left. Aunt Marie probably thought I was heartless, but I didn't care about that either. That weekend, I booked my trip to the Bahamas. First-class tickets, luxury resort, spa treatments, the works. I was going to spend that insurance money on myself for once instead of supporting people who saw me as nothing more than a bank account. As I sat in my beautiful renovated home, looking at pictures of tropical beaches on my laptop, I realized something important. For the first time in my adult life, I was truly happy. I wasn't being used, guilt-tripped, or made to feel like I owed someone anything for simply being alive. There was silence on my phone. I owned my bank account. I had time. At last, my life was mine. Some may accuse me of being vengeful or bitter. However, I believe I'm simply realistic. For years, I gave everything I had to that family. My love, my time, my money, and my energy. And they made it clear to me how little I mattered to them when I needed them the most. I'm not resentful. I am at liberty. And I'm going to be carefree on a Bahamas beach next week, enjoying drinks with tiny umbrellas in them and not thinking about other people's troubles.